Okay, so I have already recorded this twice now, and both attempts have been decently longer than I was wanting them to be, so we're going to stick to the good old script this time and hopefully stay under around 10 to 12 minutes or so. I shouldn't have to throw a big introduction your way. My name is Jake, but you should probably know who I am by now anyways. I've done Octopath Traveler content on this channel before, so I assume that might be why you're here. Today we'll be talking about the mobile game, Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent. So this video is more or less going to act as a spoiler-free, quote, things you should know type of video, of which I'll be giving you my thoughts and opinions on those particular aspects of the game, hence, quote-unquote, reviewing it. I might make a more in-depth spoiler review later, but particularly discussing the game's story. Yeah, so for this video, we're just going to stick with the basics of this game. So first of all, this is the second entry into the Octopath Traveler franchise. How big is this franchise, you may ask? Well, it's not big at all. There's the original 2018 game, and then there's this new mobile one, Champions of the Continent. Champions of the Continent, or COTC for short, acts as a prequel to the original game. Most notably though, COTC is what is considered a gacha game. This means that in order to unlock or play as new characters, you need to spend an in-game currency that is harder to come by than regular coins or gold in most games. While you can obtain this higher form of currency in-game by doing missions, most gacha games don't give you a whole lot of it, and instead they encourage you to spend real-life money to get what you want. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be a huge deal, as most games have content that's locked behind paywalls anyways. But the issue with gacha games is that you're never guaranteed to get what you're wanting with the money that you're spending. The same is true here for COTC. In contrast to the original game's 8-player roster, Champions of the Continent has over 60 playable travelers to attain, all existing within the same 8 job classes from before: Cleric, Scholar, Merchant, Warrior, Dancer, Apothecary, Thief, and Hunter. Because there's so many characters, some are just better than others. Not all of these travelers are created equally. Usually, the ones with the highest star value are the best characters to get, as is true in most gacha games. These characters may be better on account of their stats or just available skills. Now, not every gacha game heavily pushes you to spend real money on its in-game purchases. While almost every gacha game is free-to-play on a technical sense of just downloading the game for free, some are just difficult or exhausting that they essentially can't be played seriously without spending real-life money. I am very happy to report that COTC fits into the category of gacha games that are genuinely fun to play without paying for in-app purchases, while also feeling like that you aren't losing out on much of anything. Granted, that's just my opinion. You may disagree, if your luck is horrible. Another reason that gacha games encourage the use of real currency is typically to get a one-up on other players, so you can beat them in battles or missions and such. Of course, this does imply multiplayer. However, Octopath Traveler is a single-player turn-based RPG. Any and all money that you spend isn't for a competitive means, but for your own sake of collection. There is no multiplayer, no competitive nature to be had outside of simply comparing your progress with your friends or people online. Personally, I think that the single-player experience is very striking in light of a gacha experience. The main reason to be spending money on better characters is solely for the sake of getting through the story faster, or you just like how a particular character looks or acts in battle. In my opinion, don't bother. Through the daily missions and gems that the game gives you anyways, you'd probably rack close to 300 some gems a week. This adds up, believe it or not. You aren't going to beat the original Octopath Traveler in a day, much less this mobile game prequel. I repeat, don't bother spending real money on this game. For all intents and purposes, this game is a genuine free-to-play gacha game. With that out of the way, I would like to talk about more specific stuff. The story. As I mentioned before, the story acts as a prequel to the original Octopath Traveler. It also has 60 plus playable characters as opposed to the original's 8. Now you might be asking yourself, do I need to play both or either of these games first to understand the story? Am I missing anything important to the canon? The answer is simply no. Both the original and mobile game handle their canonicity in a pretty weird way. While it is canon that all of the travelers travel together, the specifics of what they do on their journey is not canon. In other words, it is canon that two travelers named Tressa and Therion do travel together in the original game, but whether or not that they are present during the other's story is not canonized? Yeah, canonized. And that's just simply due to the fact that it's up to the player to who to have in your party at any particular given time. The same is true for the mobile game. This form of what I'm calling loose canon encourages anyone to play either game in whatever order because none of the events are character specific. As is expected though, you can play and unlock some of the original 8 characters here in the mobile game. I don't think that that's to say that their inclusion in the mobile game is necessarily canon, but it's nice to see them nonetheless. Even some side characters from the original game are playable, such as Heathcote. Another thing to note is the game's story. Now, I'm going to stay as non-spoilerly as I can on this, so this is what I'll say. And I know that I just said I was talking about the story a minute ago. That was true, that was more specific to the characters. This is about the format of like the actual narrative itself. So, at the beginning of the game, it will ask you to choose 3 different paths: wealth, fame, and power. It does not matter which path you pick, as you can eventually do all of them. The recommended level for each of them, I believe, is 23. After you finish all 3, you unlock a quote-unquote side quest that I mistook for the post-game. Rather, it's far more appropriate to really just call this a part of the main game. It naturally follows the events of all previous 3 paths, but by the end of it, the recommended level for you is 65. It's 65. I beat it with units that were roughly around level 57 to 64, with a single level 71 on my team for purposes that I'll explain in that other video. After you complete this main quest, the game will ask you to select one of 3 paths again. After doing one of the paths, I got a to be continued title card, and I got it again doing one of the other ones. So I suppose this is the actual post-game proper, with added content to come later. To be honest, I'm really glad about that because I was worried that after you do all the side quests, there wouldn't really be a reason to play this game anymore, outside of collecting the new incoming characters. But I'm very happy to say that I am looking forward to what's to come. If you like the original Octopath Traveler or are interested in any way, you'll be sure to like this game and what it has to offer. The story is just as dynamic and dramatic with a fantastic cast of characters all around. There's more specific stuff that I would like to discuss, as I've alluded in this video, like quality of life differences between this game and the original, but I'll save it for my more in-depth video that'll come out probably in a long time. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. I hope that this was pretty informative and helpful for you all. If you have any other questions or thoughts, all that jazz, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. This is Jake, logging out. Peace.